Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel may be the best Yu-Gi-Oh game ever released. It's recently celebrated its 1-year anniversary, and it got me thinking about the franchise of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the free-to-play market of card games in itself. Let's go back. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been around from manga, into anime, into card game, you name it, it's been there. And in the world of video games, there's been a slew amount of video games from the PC to the PlayStation to the Nintendo DS, all the way up to the PSP and even the later consoles. With the PSP being one of my favorite franchises, the Tag Force series. I love Tag Force 2, I love that game to death. I played it non-stop when I had my PSP. But the games never really managed to take anybody that wasn't fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! And turn them into fans. Maybe because, the game just never really looked that good. The games never really looked that good. But that would all change over the years. Duel Links would be released and that was very successful, but it wasn't really what the card game was. Yes, it was a representation of Yu-Gi-Oh! But it wasn't really Yu-Gi-Oh! It was very casual. That all changed with Master Duel when it was released last year. And it's managed to not only grow the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan base, but it's managed to bring in new players, returnee players, or people like me who played the game or watched the anime and then kinda got out of it. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! To me was a very simple card game back in the day. You had spelling traps and you had monsters, summoning, special summoning, you name it. I knew how to play it. But the game became increasingly more complex and maybe more fun to play for people, but it also became very, very complex with synchros, XYZs, and linking. It's very hard to get back into it. Master Duel changed all of that by allowing people to really understand the mechanics, the tutorial system, and very much get into it again. Me, who had no idea about pendulums, no idea about links and XYZs, now I can pendulum summon, I can XYZ summon, and I can even link summon. And that's crazy on how good that game has been able to turn me into it. Now, Master Duel is nothing different. There's a lot of free-to-play card games out there. Some of the most popular being Hearthstone, Gwent, the new Marvel Snap. But what is different from all of those titles was the install basis. There is a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players out there. I mean, there are tournaments to this day that are still happening. It's a really big deal. So the install base was already big itself. Free to play, perfect, downloaded, available everywhere, can play it anywhere, can play it on any console, on my phone. That's really great. And the amount of cards that they introduce on its first run is something that not a lot of games can do. Unless you have that install basis. Gwent, Marvel Snap. I mean, if you think about it, there's over 5,000, 10,000 cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And they probably launched with most of them. And while Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is not a one-to-one recreation of the card game, it's the closest and the best looking game that we've gotten from Konami, in my opinion. The game looks great, first of all. The duel fields are great, the mates are great, but the cards look really, really good. The summon animations that you get in there, the little cut-ins are always great. And it just makes the experience and the overall play a lot better. Yes, I am a fan of the older Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that had those big summon 3D animations and the attack animations. I loved all of those stuff. Those are always my favorite. And if I play the little bit of the Duel Links that I have played, those are some of my favorites. When you summon a big monster and it has this big animation, I do wish they kind of put that in the game, and not every one of those cards has an animation, which kind of sucks. I wish they made the God cards have an animation, but either way, I'm just cutting semantics here. But what is crazy is that because of the way this game plays and because of its big install basis, it got a lot of people playing it immediately. And when the game released, there really wasn't much to do. I mean, there wasn't even a casual mode. There was a solo mode, and then there was a rank, and there was duel rooms, and that was really it. The game has changed, of course. It added in a couple of modes. It's been playing festivals. But what I like most about this game is the economy of the game. Look, there's a lot of free-to-play games out there, but what I love is that there's really just one currency you use to buy things. That's gems. You just use to buy gems. That's all you do. And when it comes to the dual pass, which is kind of like the battle pass or something, a pass in any one of these games that everyone has, you just buy it with gems. You can get gems also really easy, and it's not even that expensive to buy the dual pass. And I'm talking about buy the gold dual pass, because usually it's you get the free dual pass, you don't get the real dual pass until you either spend real money to get a different type of currency to get it, or you just have the ability to play the dual pass complete and then unlock the next one. I kind of like that. It allows me to play a lot more and always feel like I'm getting rewards than being forced out of the way because I need to spend money to get the dual pass. And while yes, the card system of the different rarities are a bit of a problem, but because there's so many cards, you will have no problem crafting those cards, dismantling them, crafting them. There's so many cards and so many decks that you might never ever play. And again, I'm a free-to-play player. I don't spend money on any of these games. I've never seen a need to spend money on any of these games. And if it was a really good free-to-play game, then I know I would never have to spend any money. Yes, there's still some balancing issues with this game. Yes, the meta can sometimes suck. Yes, rank later on is just not fun to play sometimes if you're trying to have fun with the game. But it doesn't mean that this game is terrible. But I think the best thing about this game is that it's just fun to watch. Look, watching Yu-Gi-Oh, real life Yu-Gi-Oh, unless you're not a fan of it, isn't that interesting to watch. I've been trying to see how people play games in real life and watch the games, but it's just not that interesting to watch. I couldn't get into a lot of it. It's very much slowed down. If it's two people that don't really know what the other cards do, it's very much not as interesting. There can be talks between the two, or there can be no talks between the players. It's just not as fun. Unless you're into it, and if you have fun watching it, no problem. But for me personally, it isn't. Master Duel is different. Master Duel is fun to watch. Whether you're seeing somebody take down a meta deck, you're seeing somebody build a stupid dice luck deck, someone building a tune deck, you're seeing crazy replays of people summoning 3 god cards on the field. It's just fun to watch. That even people that have no idea what's going on are having a fun time just watching replays. I think the replay system was a great addition. Having the ability to just watch somebody's replay is fun, but also having the ability to save your replays so you can show your friend who shows up like, dude, look at this replay of this game that I had where this guy summoned this big boss monster. He thought he was going to win, but I managed to pull a card to bring it out. So I get to show my buddies who have no idea what's going on to be like, this is goddamn awesome. And that was really helped me as well to really have other people jump into it, because they would see the replay and they'd be like, well, what's this game? I want to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! And jump right into it. If you are a first-time player, the game is really friendly in getting a lot of gems for you that you can really build a deck you really want to build. And I've had the ability to build many decks without spending any money. And I mostly think that's due to the festivals that the game has. Right now it's running the Duelist Cup, and if you just jump in there and play, you get a lot of gems, which is great for free-to-play players. And again, because it's so fun to play, it's also that much fun to make decks. Yes, you have the ability to copy decks very easily in this game, but that's the same in the real game as well. You see somebody build a deck, you can copy it. The only issue is in real life, sometimes those cards cost a lot of money. Yeah, not so much, because you will have a mini UR to SOS just lying around that you're never going to build, and you just decide to break them down. Yes, that may hurt the game and how people can make very interesting decks, or hurt the meta in some cases, but at least it gives the person an ability to always just be like, hey, I saw that deck that beat me with a deck that I was winning with. I want to make that deck, and I want to play it too. And I think that's the beauty of Master Duel, is that while people can have this ability to build this meta deck that destroys every deck, it's also the beauty to just build a stupid deck and just have fun. Granted, you'll always have to craft Max C, and granted, you always have to make sure you win the Max C minigame, but yes, I do think that the ability to copy decks is really fun. Master Duel also for some reason has really good music. I don't know what it is. The music in this game to me has always been really good whenever you're playing in a duel. I do wish they added in a little bit more tracks. Like, I think they should just add in more and more music in the game, because they're adding cards like every month almost, and they're changing the ban list and the limited list nearly every month. So the game is always kept fresh. Now the game, of course, isn't perfect. I mean, it's been only a year, but it isn't perfect. I think the biggest issue that it has right now is that rank just isn't fun to climb. Yes, anyone can get into Diamond. Problem is, you need to have a lot of luck and perseverance, and you gotta play a lot of hand traps. But adding in more modes, I think will make the game a bit more fun just to get into it. Maybe a mode where you can play through the errors of Yu-Gi-Oh, because there's many errors of Yu-Gi-Oh, or maybe just the ability to maybe play a best of 3, which, because the real game is obviously based on a best of 3 format. This game is not, it's based on a best of 1. But I think a best of 3 might even really help. Or even like in arena mode, something like Gwent has, where you get a bunch of random cards and you gotta build a deck out of it. Granted, that's very hard to do in Yu-Gi-Oh because of how many cards there are and some cards being good or not. But maybe you give like 8 or 10 or 50 structure decks and you tell the person, choose 3 structure decks and try to see how far you can climb with it. I think that would be very interesting. You know, obviously these structure decks need to be based on structure decks that was given to in the real game, or just structure decks that are randomly generated or made by the devs themselves. Master Duel had the ability to bring in players that loved Yu-Gi-Oh! And allow them to experience Yu-Gi-Oh! On a digital format, but in a way that looks good and is fun and easy to play. Because like I said earlier, there are other Yu-Gi-Oh! Games out there that represent the card game. They're just not fun to watch, first of all, and they're also not that easy to play. You have to do like different commands, everything. Like it's just not that easy. Master Duel is very easy, very accessible, makes you understand what's going. Whenever a dice happens, they roll the dice themselves, coin flips. It just makes you understand the game a lot more easier. Yes, there are other problems with the game. I do think they should fix duel rooms. I think duel rooms should be given way more accessibility to do whatever they want. You can now do a lot of what you want, but I wish they gave us the ability to create like a tournament, make like a small 32-man tournament, or allow us the ability to create like a 10-man tournament or something like that. Just make a tournament format where you can be like, this person loses, they're out, they can't come back in. You put like a code or something and you can make a tournament. I think that would be really, really fun, because that's something that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players really want in the game. Because in those Tag Force games that I talk about, you had the ability to make literally an AI tournament and then watch those games as the AI battle themselves. And granted, the AI in those games weren't good, they were really stupid, but it was still fun to watch. And even now, like I said, this game is just fun to watch. It's fun to just watch people watch replays and be like, whoa, this is crazy what this guy's trying to pull off. Overall, Master Duel may be the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Game ever released, and it's completely free to play. Yes, there are issues. Yes, it may not bring in everyone, but I think it truly shows what you can do if you put a little bit of time and effort into how to make a free to play game. And you make it so that it's balanced, that you never have to spend a cent. And even if you do spend money, you don't really have the upper hand. Because, in my opinion, almost any deck can beat the deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. If you want to build your stupid toon deck, it may even do really well. And of course, if you never win, you can always surrender. So, do the normal YouTube stuff, like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me, have you played Master Duel? Have you enjoyed it? Have you dropped off on it? Have you never played it and are thinking of playing it now? Or do you not really care for any of these free-to-play card games? Because I can understand that people just not getting into them, though I'm a massive fan of card games themselves. I'll see you in the next video.